Hello, YouTube. It is August the 8th, 2019, and we're actually here with some local news today from my city of Fayetteville, North Carolina. So I was looking at the news today while catching up on my soap operas. Also, a little side note, I done finally did my brows, so they ain't looking as rough as they was the past couple weeks. So y'all tell me how I do on my brows. Y'all know as an esthetician, brows are actually my weakness, so I try to keep them thick as opposed to thin. This the best I can do. So y'all leave y'all comments. Did I do well? I hope my brows ain't looking like third cousins. They looking like sisters. But anyways, back to the topic at hand though. I was looking at the news and a police brutality case came up in Fayetteville, and that obviously shocked me because I always told y'all that I'm an advocate for Fayetteville's finest, that our police officers are the exception to the rule. So much so that if officers nationwide were to be more like Fayetteville Police Department, we wouldn't even be dealing with these police brutality issues. But yeah, needless to say, I'm going to show the clip right here, and then I come back with the rest of the commentary.
Developing now, the Fayetteville Police Department responding to accusations of police brutality. In a Facebook post, Brandon McCormick says he was pulled over by an officer yesterday. He says the officer asked him to step out of his vehicle and grabbed him and slammed him face down into the pavement, digging his knee into his back while placing him in handcuffs. He says police officers searched his car, and when they found nothing, told him he was free to go. Later, McCormick says he went to the police station to file a complaint, but says investigators told him there's no record of him being pulled over. Before noon today, the Fayetteville Police Department held a news conference denying those events ever took place, offering surveillance footage from police headquarters. Chief Gina Hawkins talks about the impact this is having on our force and the rebuilding mission they're on right now.
Unfortunately, the next steps are us regaining our trust in the community on something that we didn't do. Us hoping for the truth to come out. And the only one who really knows that truth is Mr. McCormick. So this is our attempt to show you the facts of what he said occurred, what his statements say, and all his details that he provided us to be able to corroborate what he said, confirm he came in. But right now, we are in between building our own trust back based off of someone else telling their facts. So,
as of this afternoon, the Post has more than 1,300 shares on Facebook. Spectrum News is following the story. We'll have a full live report with David Ivey on Spectrum News tonight.
Okay, as y'all can tell, somebody claimed that the police pulled them over, slammed them to the ground, searched the car, and then automatically released them. There is no cam footage, which is not necessarily surprising. They don't hardly ever turn their cams on, which is another reason why I've been an advocate for that. The cams should be turned on automatically. They should be forced to have the cameras turned on upon searching somebody's car to prevent any, especially with black people. We seen crack cocaine being planted on black people as late as 2018. So by that logic, we should have the cameras turned on at all times. Number two, this is where the issue lies in though. They said there wasn't no police report at all. I mean, because every time an officer pull you over, they actually got to put it in the system. For whatever reason, this was not in the system because I'm willing to believe that this was a hoax. Because like I said, in Fayetteville, I can advocate for Fayetteville finance. I'm not on the Blue Lives Matter type mess per se, but I am Blue Lives Matter per se when it comes to our Fayetteville officers because they deal with a lot of bullshit in Fayetteville. When I tell you that the officers are so lenient when they come to actual domestic violence cases, actual cases of darn gone combat, and they still hold themselves overall composed, you don't hardly ever see officers getting out of character, even when they are justified to do so. With all the crackheads and everything that they have to deal with, and they still have some level of decorum about themselves, I found this darn gone story a little bit too hard to believe that you randomly got pulled over by Fayetteville's police department. Okay, maybe Spring Lake. Maybe. And I wouldn't even really put it on Spring Lake. Definitely if you was out in Winston-Salem somewhere, okay. Winston-Salem, Asheville, you over there in the back alley woods with, the Klan folks and stuff. I can understand it. But in Fayetteville, where we have a black chief, where Officer Rest cleaned up Murchison Road and everything, I mean, we are the closest doggone police department to unity in the South that you're going to see. And I'm talking about, I can't think of a safer police department. Because you look at Louisiana, you look at Alabama, you look at Texas, honey, it's a hot mess. But North Carolina, overall, we good. Now Charlotte, that's the city, honey. Don't put Charlotte on us. I'm talking about in Fayetteville, you don't never hear no darn on shit. Usually when you hear some shit in Fayetteville, it's usually by the officers being too lenient, not darn on slamming people down to the ground. So they actually went as far as to pull surveillance footage up, and they couldn't find no incidents of where this took place during the time frame that he said that it happened. But needless to say, it's going viral without no shred of evidence, no phones or anything else. And like I said, I'm more inclined to believe the police officer side at this point because, and yeah, y'all might could say I'm biased because, some family connections that, I have and, my activism in the community. But putting all that aside, putting, my connection with Fayetteville Police Department and, the city council and all that aside, I'm saying that if this is indeed true, and that somehow this officer managed to darn on pull you over without darn on having to log it in the system or whatever. This one-off case, this should serve as a lesson that we as black people anyway should have cameras in our own car. It is very affordable. In this day and time where we is being hunted down now, I've always said Fayetteville is our secret sanctuary city. That's why I'm so reluctant to move from here. Although with personal drama that's going on in my life, I have to eventually get the wings to fly out this darn on safe zone. I'm going to have to experience the rest of the world because unfortunately, I'm dealing with more stress in my personal life than with anything that a police officer can deal my way. Especially since I don't have no fear, in North Carolina. Like I said, in Fayetteville, I've always felt safe with our Fayetteville police officers. And I think this is a darn on hoax. It's unfortunate that it's already been shared over 1,300 times and it's causing division in an area where it does not need to be divided. Because the officers and the Fayetteville citizens, we've had we've had harmony amongst each other since forever, as long as I know. Now, of course, back in old Merc days, there might have been some controversy, but even then, that was more so from the damn people. I mean, anybody who knows about certain areas of the Merc, the Merc area in Fayetteville, hell, certain officers wouldn't even darn gonna go to certain streets. So even then, that was more so from the citizens than from the darn on officers. So, like I said, the officers are actually too lenient in my case as far as Fayetteville at times. But as far as police brutality, that is just unheard of. But if this was actually true, hypothetically speaking, this serves as a lesson to show that we as black people, we should have cameras at all times. It's sad to say that we have to be that way, but unfortunately, it is what it is. And especially if you live in a southern community. If you're not fortunate to be in Fayetteville or, I can't even think of another area in the city. No, because Louisiana had they darn on shit too. Like I said, if you in the South, I don't know why you don't have cameras. They are very affordable. Matter of fact, I'm going to do a video showing a Craigslist ads where you can get the camera set up in your house and everything for like $500. And I'm talking about night vision, recording HD. I don't understand these motherfucking cameras in 2019 recording in darn on 360p quality. That you can't see shit. Like where the fuck y'all getting y'all cameras and stuff from? And these are stores and stuff too. When darn on footage comes out, it be all grainy and shit like it's from the 1980s. It's like, hell, we got YouTube where I'm doing this video in 720 quality with a Logitech webcam. You telling me we don't have the technology as far as store cams and stuff? That always confuses me, honey. But as far as you have the money, I'm sure. If you getting Jordans, if you got that darn gone OG Bobby Johnson, you know what I'm talking about when I say OG Bobby Johnson and the Girl Scout cookies that you did not get from Walmart. If you can afford that, if you can afford the for the ladies, if you can afford that sew in every 2 weeks for my white sisters, if you can afford them darn gone bond extensions. My white sisters that date the brothers, I see that's becoming more prevalent in Fayetteville because this is not just a black thing. This is for anybody in general. Why do we not have cameras in our cars nowadays? We need to be just as darn on. We should take just as much safety protections as the so-called police officers take. And my thing is this: if you had darn on camera footage in your own car, you could have secretly turned your darn on shit on. And then it's like, I guess he was driving alone, so nobody else in the car could have pulled out a phone. That's why he couldn't have pulled out a phone. But it's like if you had cameras in the car that records footage, that could have been one evidence thing right there. And then it's like the footage records to an off-site location, so it's not like the officer could have took the recording out. And then when it comes to home invasions and stuff like that too, same thing. Even though we seen officers turn the noticeable cameras around, that's why I say you should also have cameras in your house that don't look visibly like cameras. You should have cameras that look like a clock or inanimate objects. And if y'all need me to do a video on those types of you know if y'all need me to do those types of videos on hitting cameras and stuff, I would do that as well. I got tongue-tied for a second. But yeah, this just struck me as all types of odd that somebody will report a false darn on police brutality case. And it's like with all the racial tensions that's going on, with all the darn on killings that's going on with police officers just going unchecked, they darn on getting prosecuted and to have the luxury of darn on being tried by people of the community that can easily be put in fear, because it's like, what do you look like trying to darn go sentence an officer to jail and your name is public record? The darn on officers is friends with the prosecutor and the magistrate, so it would not take them for nothing to darn gonna get your information. They have the technology to run a background check on you and your family. Just off of that alone should darn be enough cause for darn officers to have a special prosecutor, where they should have a special group of people try them. It shouldn't be up to random people like they're citizens. Because when you're in a position of power, such as police officers, it is darn easy to corrupt the system when you're all together. That's why it's the blue wall of silence, because it's plenty multifacets to this shit. And then when you dealing with all that in areas and you have victims like Sandra Bland and Eric Gardner, the anniversary of Eric Gardner's death just came up and they was trying to acquit the officer. They actually did acquit him 5 years later on the anniversary nonetheless. Like, that was a slap in the face. And then you darn gone, it took from the Democratic debates and the public outcry of the darn on Democratic darn on presidential nominees just to get his ass off the darn on police force. It took for the darn on Democratic nominees to get him darn on fired after 5 years of complaints from the citizens of that town. Like, really? And with all this that's going on, you are going to stir the pot and make it worse by darn gone painting the light on the few good officers that we have. Like, if you darn gonna make the good officers darn gonna look like they corrupt, then how the hell you expect us to even darn gonna attempt to darn gonna salvage darn gone unity amongst darn gone police officers who are hired to protect us? If you trying to make the darn gone few officers that we have that are good darn gonna look bad by putting false cases on them, trust me, officers nationwide are doing enough to fuck up the image for their damn selves. Don't put it on the darn gone few officers that we have, such as Fayetteville Finest. I won't let you do that. Until you show me some evidence, I'm going to ride for the darn on Fayetteville City Police Department. We ain't gonna do that. We ain't about to darn gonna tarnish all officers for the sake of, and I can't even say a few bad apples, but a moderately decent amount of corrupted officers. It has been proven by the FBI that the Ku Klux Klan has infiltrated which I get into the point with how that's a fallacy. Really, you can't infiltrate something that you really created. But needless to say, to keep it PC, the FBI put their spin on it by saying that the Ku Klux Klan has infiltrated police departments nationwide in large numbers. And you think it's a coincidence that the one group that was known for torturing black people for fun, that has been confirmed to have infiltrated police departments nationwide, even though, they've always been there. They just now got more comfortable being in the forefront. But once again, we'll speak on that in another video. But these same groups of people are now able to kill black people, and now it's darn on seen as, oh, well, they was defending themselves. You was defending yourself against somebody running away. You had to shoot them 16 times. You was defending yourself against a pregnant woman who weighed nothing but 115 pounds, who had a knife in her hand, but it was 5 officers instead of tasing her, which was still, I wouldn't even go for tasing. You see the woman's pregnant, but y'all couldn't have darn kicked the knife out of her hand or something. If you had to get physical, y'all all couldn't have bone rushed her. You had to go shoot her. A pregnant woman, a darn second grade teacher who runs a darn stoplight, you felt the need to slam her in the ground. And then the list goes on and on and on. But then we see not one, but darn 2 shootings within 24 hours of each other in 2 different states. And both darn people get cuffed in alive, not a scratch on them and everything else. But these darn mass shooters got us in so much fear that a car backfire in New York darn cause all of Madison Square Garden to run in a state of darn terror because they thought it was another terror attack. But you can bring them in a lot. So with all these racial tensions going on that we need to address, to the point where we need to hire special prosecutors, we need to put stiff punishments on officers where they serve double the time. If you are a person in law enforcement and you are caught darn violating the law, since you are in the position of power to enforce the law, I think there should be a law set where they should serve double the mandatory time than a regular citizen, due to the fact that you are a police officer. And once these are enforced by special prosecutors, then we'll see that these issues won't no longer happen. Not that it will end racism. You can't darn train the way. I don't understand these bullshit darn training classes. You ain't training no racists out of their racist race. You need to just properly punish them. And this ain't going to happen overnight. This is going to take a couple years to implement, but it needs to start being in the implementation process. The darn dismantle this darn large system of the blue wall of silence. But with dismantling the blue wall of silence, what we cannot do is darn target and darn put false accusations on good officers who's had an upstanding history in the community, a community that has not necessarily been upstanding itself, where I can actually see an officer being justified slamming some folks down and darn fed nah. Trust me, as somebody who's born and native here, some officers are actually justified if they was to slam somebody down. And the fact that they have a history of being a little bit too lenient, I can't see that this case being true, that an officer darn slam this person down and there is no footage, even though there is multiple cameras in the facility of which you was attacked, allegedly. But if this was so-called happened, once again, as black people, we should definitely have cameras in our cars, and we should have cameras in our houses. And I'm talking about not the ones that are just visible, but the ones that are not noticeable to the average day person. The one that's disguised as a clock, the one that's disguised as inside the plant, and etc. And I will do more videos educating y'all on that technology in the next video. So with that being said, if y'all like this video, like, comment, share, subscribe. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see y'all soon with more videos. Mwah.